and he's a chemical engineer. At the same time, a life coach, and he loves to motivate people. He loves God, most importantly, and he motivates, or he preaches from the standpoint of God's leadership. So Emeka Anyanwu.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Like she explained, we've been here for doing this for more than since 2012. So we've been pushing on, we've been persistent because we know we can't be defeated. So on that concept, keep on pushing, because it's not that somebody falls is failing and then being on the ground. You don't stay there, you have to rise. So the topic today is overcoming imposter syndrome. So it's something that happens to many people. So it's a kind of
No, the arrow to the right.
This one? So understanding and overcoming imposter syndrome. So it's a kind of psychological pattern in which an individual does their accomplishment and then fearing about themselves, believing that they are fraudulent or that they don't deserve what they have. So, like I said, a persistent and internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud, chronic feeling of incompetence and inadequacy. See, so it's what occurs to a lot of people, because naturally, if you do great thing or if you achieve something, you like to celebrate it. You feel happy inside of you. So you like to celebrate it. You would like people to know about it. You like to spread it yourself. Or in the case of an imposter, somebody suffering from imposter syndrome, the reverse is the case. What he does or she does is to stay calm, stay feeling fraud, feeling like the person is a fraud, start fearing, start hiding. He doesn't want to do it. He believes that he does not deserve it. So, but the aim and objective of this conference today, this topic today, is to help people who are undergoing this kind of feeling, who cannot come out boldly and express themselves, especially when they achieve great things, when they achieve something they've been dreaming about. So what they normally do is they try to reclaim, they say they don't deserve it, they don't do this. Even the greatest mind, like Albert Einstein, you see, he saw himself as fraudulent, even though he was the greatest scientist that ever lived. You know, he discovered relativity, did a lot of things on energy, more than any human being has done. Still, he was, faced with this imposter syndrome, because sometimes he feels that he was fraudulent, that he'll be exposed, and when he's exposed, he doesn't really stand to the test. So people like Maya Angelou, a great writer and a poet, a powerful woman, she was besieged by that kind of feeling. Great people always have that kind of feeling. So the major thing I'm saying today is this: how do we combat this imposter syndrome? Because it's possible. So there is always a quote I like to see. The first thing we do to combat imposter syndrome is to seek knowledge. So, first, seeking knowledge is the most important thing in life. Because if you don't have knowledge, you don't have understanding, you are doomed. There's nothing you can do. So fear, overpowers you. So Maria Curie says that nothing in life is to be feared. It's only to be understood. So life is about understanding something, about having knowledge, like the last speaker earlier pointed, that is that you need to seek knowledge. You need to create that awareness. You need to, because if you don't have knowledge, then fear comes in. I normally tell people, I say, fear is like a lion or a tiger in a cage. Now, when a tiger is here, if the tiger is here now, everybody will be afraid. But once a tiger, you have the knowledge that the tiger is put inside the cage, what happens? You start coming around the tiger. So that is what fear does to us. So to combat fear, you have to get knowledge. Because knowledge is what destroys fear. Because God said to us that we shouldn't fear. In fact, to fear is to sin. But we don't know. We shouldn't fear. We shouldn't be afraid of anything. Because when you fear, you lose the power. You lose the potential. You lose everything. Imagine somebody like Albert Einstein. He had a great idea. So if fear was to hold him down, that means the theory of relativity that helped us to go to Mars, helped us to build spaceship, we wouldn't do that because of fear. And if you are afraid, you can't even share your ideas. You feel that everybody's against you. You feel that, that kind of thing. Because fear destroys the very core of humanity. One moment. Fear is very, very dangerous. It destroys everything. Because when you are afraid, you don't realize that you are God. I do tell everybody that even it's written in the Bible that you are God. You are God. Yet, you don't internalize it. You don't use it. So, going to the thing, because my conferences, I like to make it interactive. So I always ask only one question. This question is, help somebody to navigate their way. Now this question is, what is their environment? Each time I have conference, I ask that question. Only people who have attended my conference do answer it correctly. So I don't know who has attended, but I'm putting this question before you. What is their environment? Can anybody answer me?
I guess it's everywhere you go. Where you walk, where you live, everywhere that you have interaction.
Is the environment?
Yeah.
Who has a different, what's the environment?
I feel it's people around you as well, because
Yeah.
that influences you.
That's a good one.
I suppose, in a sense, it's your world, because when you walk through the door, it's your world you're in, so
Yes.
you interact with other people
So,
in their
but
world.
the only person I don't want to answer is Faustina.
Oh,
because,
right.
because she's my wife, she knows everything I know. Do you know what's the environment?
I guess for me, it will be the people you network with, your
These are
family.
good ones. So, but this is not our environment. That is why it's critical. That is why in every conference I host or I go, I normally ask this question because I know people don't get it. Well, it might be narrow, but I know that your environment is the presence of God. It's not the flower. It's not you. Because your environment is your foundation. So if you don't get your foundation right, fear comes in. You become disillusioned. When you face challenge, you give up. So first and foremost, you have to understand your environment is God. Nothing more. It's not their house. But naturally, they tell us our environment is not. It's a house, it's a road, no, that's not your environment. People now, your environment is God. Because that is the foundation. Environment determines the foundation. And your foundation is what, puts you in a better position in life. So if you don't know your environment, then the wind, the currents of the world will push you, sweep your feet across you, and then you find yourself crashing. Like if you have a problem, you start panicking because you don't know your environment. So if you face a little discussion with somebody, oh, come on. So this is like most of the things they are facing here because, yes, nobody knows everything. You might be our brothers, there are things you don't know. You might be my angel, there are things you don't know. There are things I don't know. So even though it's boldly written in the Bible there, we don't know. The environment is God. So that is why foundation is very, very important. Because if you don't have a solid foundation, if somebody blows you, you crash out. If the storm of the world comes around you, like a conference like this, when it comes like this, I don't panic. Until we don't have to panic. Even if you're one person, we keep on going. Because we know that the lights God puts in one person can never be put out by all the negative lights in the world. So that's why we're saying, yeah, if you don't get the environment right, this very question right, then there's nothing you can do here. You'll be fearing. So the third one is the power of perspective. The power of perspective is also built on that environment. Power of perspective means relocation. You relocate. Sometimes, one day, Faustina was giving advice to my daughter. Now, she was telling her, oh, you are beautiful. You are very intelligent. You are doing very well in school. So what Faustina was actually doing was a reverse psychology of moving her perspective, relocating her. She is here, but she wants her to be here. So knowledge of this kind of thing helps us to combat any silent thing that goes into our mind that tries to, that tries to bring us down. So now, when even my dad, the way my dad approached me or how he advised me, anytime he gave me advice, I realized that he was relocating me from the position I was to the new position he wants me. Like each time Faustina tells Jessie that very thing, Jessie will now remember that she is intelligent, she's beautiful, she's brilliant. So that is what she has in her mind. So she was practically moving her from a place of fear, place of inadequacy, to a place of courage and strength.
Confidence.
So that's why changing your perspective, if you flip it up, you'll be able to move from your perspective. The second thing, the fourth thing I will always say is that your weakness, your deficiency is your strength. Because we don't know our environment, we don't know our foundation, we don't know where we came from. It's like everything was wiped out. So we don't know. We always think in deficiency. We always were deficient. I said, come on, how can you say you're deficient? Okay, now to put it the proper way, your deficiency is your strength. It was qualifies you.
Yeah.
Normally, one thing I normally tell people, I say, look at our body. We look at our body as something very weak. But that is the only thing that gave us authority here, that has given a human being authority. If you don't have a body, you are off. So your body, which we say is weak, is actually what gave us the position and authority. That's why we're able to deal with the demons, deal with anything, because we have authority. So yeah, whatever you call your deficiency, I say people, look, you don't have any, you're not deficient, because God said, who are made are fearfully made, beautiful. Come on, who's telling you you're deficient? How can somebody tell you what God said is powerful? And we're saying we're weak. Nobody's weak. Even Paul has to say, well, Paul said, okay, if you say you're weak, say you're strong. You understand? If you say you're poor, say you're rich. So because our mind we're finding it difficult to internalize these things. So the essence of this kind of thing is to come up, you learn and internalize the basic thing. That basic thing is the foundation. Because if you lose your foundation, you are finished. And that is why it's like the world is always in confusion. We don't know where to go. We don't know what we're doing. So deficiency is what makes it. You're not deficient. Even the lion does not. They gave instance with the lion. A lion doesn't doubt itself. It doesn't think about these things yet because it's focused. That's why it's able to achieve everything it wants to achieve. So we have to adopt certain principles. And then the fourth one was saying clarity. Let me talk about this now. Okay, clarity and focus. Now, when I say clarity and focus, now, you see, there is a bird called eagle. Now, eagle has a clear, the sight is able to capture something from 30,000 feet above the sea level. So now, it's a powerful bird, but do you know what cracks the eagle? It's like a crow. The crow fly on top of the eagle, So the same way people who are suffering from imposter syndrome, they are powerful people, very, very imaginative people. Imagine someone like Albert Einstein who was able to solve equation between distances of Mars, distances of stars, which you can't even. Now, this kind of imposter syndrome is tapping on his mind. You know, it's like, chim, chim, chim. So the same way the ego, ego gave us an illustration on how to deal with this kind of torment when it comes. Because in our mind, sometimes we want to do something, there's something that is chattering your mind, it's fear. Or we want to go this thing, so fear, people won't come, I'm not sure, like those kind of things. Those things are what brings you down. So we can learn from the ego. The ego has this kind of pecking on it constantly. You know what ego does? Ego doesn't flinch. What he does, he takes to flight. He flies above, he gets close to the plane, 30,000 feet. So when he goes there, he knows that the crow will follow because the crow can't withstand that pressure, can't withstand the temperature, can't withstand everything. The same thing with us. When this kind of silent voice is trying to weaken us, what we do is we have to get knowledge. Because once you get knowledge, everything will master. But if you leave yourself in that position without seeking knowledge, you are doomed. So that is why clarity, that's why also we have to learn from people because they are focused on whatever they do. Then there's something again about clarity I want to say is this. See, clarity is your capacity to see beyond. You see, what we're saying here, like I told personally, I believe that challenge doesn't exist. Yes, the reality is the challenge is there, but that is not a permanent position. You understand? It's not the permanent position. So what I think that exists is something that is permanent, not temporary. Like I'm hungry. That's the reality. I'm hungry, but it's temporary. So your capacity, to see beyond and capture something, like I have a vision. That vision, I have the capacity to see it. So before that vision, there is a cloud, there is a fog around blocking me. But beyond that, the horizon is brilliant, beautiful, nice, everything. There's sunshine beyond that. Just like a day. Like now in England now, we might have night. But if you pass through England, you see that America, they're having the bright light. So the light is permanent, but the night is temporary, just for a short time. So clarity is very, very important. Clarity is your capacity to use your imagination and picture whatever you want to do. Picture whatever object you want to see. Picture whatever you want to do. Because there, you're already given, dominated, that that is where your vision is. That is where the success comes from. It doesn't come from the immediate reality that I don't have a job or I don't have that. If you're thinking that way, that means you can't see beyond your nose. So seeing beyond warriors, the temporary environment, helps you to navigate things like imposter syndrome, challenges you have, and every other thing you do. Because we are created in the image of God. To be honest, it is written in the Bible that God said you are God. 2 times he told it to Moses, I've made you God. So why is it that somebody made God is squatting, always squatting, hiding? So why can't we express ourselves? Why can't we be courageous? Nature teaches us courage, boldness. Do not fear anything because you are made in the image of God. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emeka Anyanwu. I held on.